welcome everyone to season 6, episode 42 of the Focus TV. We are joined. We got Xavier White, Cardo Dudley Jr. We got Raymond Lyons. I'm Wilson Tarpey Jr. And let's get to it. We're gonna start with the NFC East. We're gonna talk about Jim Couch. Get a Wizards update. Some rapid fire. You guys know how this goes. So Xavier, I think I know who you starting first with because we know the rules when things don't go well.
You gotta get it over with. And it's driving me insane to say this. But the Philadelphia Eagles played the New York Jets this week and they lost to the freaking Jets. The score of Philadelphia 14, New York Jets 20. Jalen Hurts was 28 of 45, 280 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 8 carries for 47 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. DeAndre Swift had 10 carries for 18 yards and 8 receptions for 40 yards and 1 touchdown. And A.J. Brown had 7 receptions for 131 yards. He should have had 2 touchdowns, but he had 0. It was just a debacle of all sorts. There were bright spots in the game at times, going into halftime up 14-3 and then to not score any points in the second half is unacceptable. Kudos to the Jets and their defense. Especially coming into this game, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles were very keyed in on the fact that Sauce Gardner wasn't playing in this game. No, we have 2 elite wide receivers. So they kind of pressed the passing ability in this game. Jalen threw 45 times. There's a crazy stat that I ended up filing that the Eagles are 0-4 when Jalen has 40 plus pass attempts, especially against the 22 rushing attempts that they had in the game. A 3 interception game is never a good thing. It was a debacle. I mean, some of it you might want to put on the fact that we did have some injuries going into this game. Some that were before the game started. No Jalen Carter. No Darius Slay, which only leaving 1 starting secondary player in James Bradbury. And then the people we got to replace him recently signed Bradley Roby. He got hurt in the game. Mario Goodrich got hurt in the game. Reed Blankenship also got hurt in the game again with a rib injury. He had that earlier in the season as well. So it's getting pretty thin back there on an already, and that's not even to mention the fact that starting safety Devontae Maddox has been out since week 1. So it's tough back there. Howie's going to have to do some magic before this trade deadline to get some help back there because it is not looking good. It was I really don't even have the words for it. It was just a SHIT show. Hassan Reddick, maybe if you want to look for a bright point, he had a second back-to-back multi-sack game. He's starting to kind of come on from his sacks. The first couple of weeks, he wasn't getting to the quarterback as much as he did last year. So those 2 games back-to-back is definitely a positive sign for him. But also in this game, I know we talk about the defensive players who didn't play. Lane Johnson went out with an ankle injury, which proved to be horrible. As he was replaced by Jack Driscoll, who allowed 7 pressures and 42 pass blocking snaps, 1 sack, 5 hurries, 16.7% pressure rate allowed when the Eagles only allowed 19 pressures as a team. That's just terrible. It's just bad. And then, the other phase of the game and the special teams phase, Jake Elliott has been a stud all year. He's already won NFC Special Teams Player of the Week twice this year, but he missed a 37-yard chip shot late in the game that could have extended the lead. Definitely, in my opinion, would have changed some things. I talked about A.J. Brown, 7 receptions, 131 yards. 2 pivotal plays, in my opinion, where he should have scored. I think one of them, DeAndre Swift ended up scoring anyway. But there was one where, I guess AJ just didn't think he was getting the ball. He let up in his route, and Jalen threw it to him, and it ended up overthrowing him. So it was just, I'm sure the Philadelphia Eagles players will say it was a lot of mental mistakes. And honestly, it was. But the New York Jets did what they needed to do to capitalize on those. So they got to go back to the drawing board. They got to get some better calls. I think we should run the ball a little bit more, especially against a team in the New York Jets who, for their last 4 games, allowed 134 yards, 157 yards, 204 yards, and 139 yards rushing. Definitely thought you should have got the ball a little bit more, but I just think they were leaning on the fact, well, we got 2 of the best wide receivers in the game. Their best. It's not out there because I'm not sure if DJ Reed played it as well. I can't remember. Did not play. So I think that's what their focus was. But it's, I guess you want to call it a learning opportunity for a first-time offensive coordinator, although I wish it does not cost us games, especially coming up on a very big stretch of the schedule. This Sunday, they will be playing primetime. Y'all know how much I hate that. And it's gonna be a lot of hoopla. They play against the Dolphins Sunday nights. The Tua versus Jalen, Alabama situation. Is yeah. But luckily and hopefully we'll have Darius Slay back as well as Jalen Carter back. And I failed to mention as well that they did get a little bit of reinforcements. They did sign cornerback Josiah Scott, who was with them in the offseason. Definitely need some depth and some help back there as we're decimated in the secondary. And Julio Jones has now officially became a Philadelphia Eagle, signed a 1-year deal. I'm a little indifferent about it. We saw Julio when he went to Tampa Bay. Wasn't the Julio we're used to. He's been out the league for a little while. He's 34. I'm hoping that just the threat of him will help. I think that's the thought, unless he just is in better shape than we think. But I think the threat of him will help open it up a little bit more for AJ as well as Devontae, and also Dallas Goedert as the third wide receiver, depending on if it's Quez Watkins or Olamide Zaccheaus. Quez, I believe, was on IR, another injury, and Olamide is just not shaking out the way that we need. So hopefully Julio can at least put some fear in somebody's heart, so that way they got to stay with him and give a little bit of leeway to AJ, Devontae, and Dallas. Next up, we're going to go to the Washington Commanders, who played against the Atlanta Falcons that we just spoke about. They defeated the Falcons 24-16. Sam Howell was 14 of 23, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 3 carries. Brian Robinson Jr. had 10 carries for 31 yards and 2 receptions for 25 yards and 1 touchdown. Terry McLaurin had 6 receptions for 81 yards. Curtis Samuel, 4 receptions for 42 yards and 1 touchdown. And Antonio Gibson, 3 carries, 15 yards, and 1 reception for 1 yard. This was a kind of an up and down game a little bit for Washington. They came out pretty strong. They almost gave it away in the second half with Atlanta, doing their darndest to come back. The defense for the Washington Commanders has been pretty decent all year. They've had their moments where they haven't looked as elite as we thought they should be, with as much money as they're paying the 4 guys up front, minus Chase Young, whose 5th-year option was not exercised. They did have some good goal line defense. In the fourth quarter, they stopped a 2-point conversion. On Atlanta's next possession, corner Benjamin St. Juste intercepted quarterback Desmond Ridder in the end zone on 3rd and goal from the 7. So they were able to hold them out of that. A lot of teams in the NFL as a whole have been struggling in the red zone. So it's not uncommon that that's been happening. Now, like I said, the defense had some bright spots. Their goal line defense was pretty good. But the defense as a whole allowed 402 total yards, including 296 passing yards. To a team that's not known for throwing the ball, we know that there is some qualms when it comes down to Desmond Ridder, especially the fact that they moved on from Marcus Mariota from last year and gave the reins to Desmond Ridder. And they've been primarily leaning on the rookie Bijan Robinson, who I guess just really couldn't get a footing in this game as far as rushing. So I guess you want to credit that as well to the Commanders defense as well. But still, Washington held Atlanta to 106 rushing yards, 3.7 yards per attempt. So they did enough. It was kind of bend not break. and they did enough to be able to come out with a victory in that game. But the defense did all of that without their first round pick, Emmanuel Forbes, who was benched in this game. He was pulled early in their previous game, and he did not take a defensive snap in this game at all. So not a good sign when your first round pick, I believe he was 16th overall. It's not even getting in the game. I think Ron Rivera is saying that they're keeping him out, letting him watch the game, see things that maybe he just wasn't understanding in the midst of playing in the game. The one thing I was always concerned about was his size. I don't know if that's 100% contributing to it, but he's been the one they've picked on in the last couple of games. And I guess you can't really say size because the name is escaping me now, but the guy that they actually came in replacing him, I think he's about 5'7", 5'8". So it's rookie woes. Maybe it's just something he just needs a little bit more time. Maybe he was too high of a pick. We see that happen a lot in the league. Just give him some time to develop. And then, their offensive side, the offensive line has always been an issue. They've been a little bit better in this game, although they did still allow 5 sacks to Sam Howell in this game. But some of that was on Sam Howell. It kind of goes back and forth whose fault it is every week. And I don't know why they just decide to keep changing people. Like, okay, this week is Sam's fault, and next week it's going to be the offensive line's fault. Hopefully for their sake, they can get on the same page and everybody now hold the ball long, Sam, block the way that you need to so he can get the ball out in a timely manner and in an accurately manner. But Sam Howell has had a pretty much up and down season. He had some really good games. He's had some really bad games. Eric Bieniemy is still going to have to work some magic when it comes to that. And then their special teams, had a pretty decent game. Veteran Jamison Crowder had his last 3 punt returns have all been for double-digit yardage. He returned a 61-yard punt to sub the Commanders for a touchdown. He almost scored on it. And interestingly enough, he was the last player before I believe he left them and he went to the Jets and came back to score off of a punt. So he's looking to possibly recreate that, momentum that he had when he was a Commanders previously. So all in all, I mean, it was a pretty decent game. It's not a game that they're going to want when they play against high caliber teams. And those games are still coming. They still have not. They have another game against the Philadelphia Eagles. They have 2 games, I believe. I don't think they played the Cowboys yet as well. So they're definitely going to want to up that. Their next game is going to be against the other team in the NFC East, which is the New York Giants, and they'll play Sunday at 1. Speaking of the New York Giants, we'll go ahead and get to them. The New York Giants played against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday night. I wish you guys would stop giving them primetime games. Although this one was not as bad as we expected. It's not as bad as we expected, but still, I think we're good on our dosage of that for the year. They played against the Buffalo Bills and they lost 14-9. Tyrod Taylor, who stepped in for injured Daniel Jones, was 24 of 26, 200 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 5 carries for 24 yards. Saquon Barkley had 2 carries for 93 yards and 4 receptions for, I'm sorry, not 2 carries, 24 carries, for 93 yards and 4 receptions for 5 yards. Darius Slayton had 4 receptions for 69 yards. If you want to see the biggest bright spot, it would have to be on their defensive side. Holding the Buffalo Bills to 14 points is not easy when they have number 14, Stephon Diggs. So it's definitely not an easy feat to do. Gabe Davis has played well recently as well. And honestly, I mean, granted, I think James Cook has been doing a decent job as well, but Latavius Murray has been playing a lot more for them in the backfield as well. So they have a lot of offensive weapons. So for them to hold them to, 14 points is not a bad feat for them, especially how I don't even know what to call their defense so far up until now. Linebacker Bobby Okorac was all over the field. He had 11 tackles, which was a team high. Forcing a fumble, he tipped the pass that was intercepted by linebacker Michael McFadden. He had probably the best game on defense for them. Kayvon Thibodeau slowly kind of coming on. I think he's just having his flashes at times. But the offensive side is still what's really hurting them. The offensive line, of course, we know Tyrod Taylor was sacked 3 times. Daniel Jones has been getting sacked at the average of 5 times a game. So that prompted them to pull former offensive lineman for them, Justin Pugh, who hasn't played for the Giants since 2017. He came in, I think he started at right guard. Their left guard got injured. He had to move to left guard. And he did a pretty decent job, for his first game back in over a year. He had a couple of penalties, false starts, I believe, but that's to be understandable, again, with somebody who is newly integrated into the offensive line. You're not playing with the usual quarterback. You got Tyrod Taylor in there. So it's understandable. What's not understandable is Tyrod Taylor, who is a veteran. There was a play at the end of the first half. Apparently, there were multiple calls in there, and Tyrod decided to check to a run. There was not enough time left on the clock. Saquon Barkley proceeded to take the run, get stuffed. There was not enough time to call a timeout, which they did not have. So even if they had one, couldn't call it, and not enough time to snap the ball. So they ended up leaving the first half with no points that close to the goal line, where they could have at least got 3, which could have been a big change in this game. It could have been 14-12 at that point. And then instead of them having whatever you call this in the end zone, as we know that there were multiple missed calls in this game for both teams, there wouldn't have even been an issue at this point because they would have been kicking the field goal for a potential win. So that's something that Tyrod Taylor has already come out with and expressed that was something that he should have been aware of. I believe Brian Daboll said that was something that he thought he made him aware of. So that's something that you just have to kind of chalk it up to just mismanaging the game, from Tyrod's point, as well as Daboll. He's the coach. He should make sure that he knows what the game plan is going into that type of play. And again, granted, they left the game, they left that half without those points. The Giants were 0-5 in the red zone. So they left a lot of points on the board, and this would have been another big upset of the weekend because there was plenty of them. There would have been another underdog that would have won this game. But the Buffalo Bills were just a better team, and they were able to pull it out when they needed to. And sadly for the Giants, they fall to another loss. And they'll have another chance at it this week. Again, like I said, they'll be playing against the Washington Commanders. Interdivision games are always crazy, so you never know what's going to happen. We saw their games last year ended on similar plays. I think they tied one game last year, and then the one game ended on a controversial no call of a PI in the end zone as well. So they're going to get each other's best. When you play against a team that you play all the time, it's going to be a good game. Last but not least, the game that probably infuriated me the most this week, just because we lost. I need them to lose too. So I didn't like it. The Dallas Cowboys played against the Los Angeles Chargers and defeated the Chargers 20-17. Daniel Prescott. Dak Prescott was 21-30, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 carries for 40 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Tony Pollard had 15 carries for 30 yards, 6 receptions for 60 yards. CeeDee Lamb had 7 receptions for 117 yards, and Brandon Cooks had 4 receptions, 36 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 carry for 14 yards. If I had to say it, I personally believe that this was their best complete game of the year, offense, defense, and special teams. As we've seen earlier in the year, sometimes the offense is lacking, the defense is playing well. Sometimes the defense is playing subpar and the offense is playing subpar, so they can't win that way. To me, this was the first game where the defense was pretty much a dominant defense. They had their flaws in it, and so did the offensive team side of the ball. But it was enough for them to pretty much have a almost complete game. Definitely best game that we've seen with Dak all year. I'm sure he was calling this a must-win game because there's definitely a difference between being 3-3 and 4-2, as they're 4-2 now. It was probably the first time we've seen Dak rush the way that he did in this game since the ankle injury that he suffered in 2018, 2019, 17, one of those years. He's been very reluctant to really run. The scramble that he had in the first drive, to score that touchdown, was definitely something of the Dak that we saw years ago. he led the team with 40 rushing yards, which shows you that the Chargers' run defense was pretty decent. Tony Pollard only having 30 yards on 15 carries. So about 2 yards a carry. So, that was good for them. Now, the one thing that it always seems to rear its ugly head for the Cowboys at times is those penalties. Now, lucky for them in this game, the Chargers had just as many penalties as well. So a lot of them pretty much offset each other. But again, as they go on in this quest to make it to an NFC championship, they're going to have to clean those things up. Michael Gallup had 3 catches on a team high 10 targets. So it's nice to see him get a little bit more involved, as well as Brandon Cooks, who's been an automatic 1,000-yard receiver for all 5 teams that he's played with in the league. So to see him get involved, I was surprised CeeDee Lamb didn't score a touchdown because he was everywhere as well. So like I said, it was definitely a good showing for their player personnel in the offensive side. And the defense, they weren't as special as we've seen them be in the past. But they made stops when they needed to. They stepped up when they needed to. Big stop at the end of the game. Micah Parsons, was lining up the opposite side of Rashawn Slater, who we know is a gem for the Los Angeles Chargers on their offensive line. And he, didn't have as many big plays as we're used to seeing from him, but he came through in the clutch with this sack, on 3rd down, basically right at the end of the game, and they had one more chance for the Chargers. And then newly acquired Stephon Gilmore, who had a pass interference earlier in the game that set up the Chargers for a touchdown. He was able to regain himself and get back and get an interception to seal the game for them. So all in all, I think it was a good one for them against a team that is, I think the Chargers are a good team. Some people may agree or disagree. I think they have good players. I think a lot of people are really concerned about their coaching. Although, I think Kellen Moore did a pretty decent job. Is really trying to run the ball. And it was Austin Eckler's first game back. So all in all, it was a good game for the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to have another opportunity this upcoming week. They'll play against the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have been pretty decent this year as well. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp has been coming alive. They just recently had an injury with their running back, Kyron Williams. So that might change their options as well going into this game. But looking forward to see, hopefully it won't be too bad Sunday night. I won't yell and scream and and act a fool. But hopefully by that time, we'll see I'll see where the NFC stands, and as far as the NFC East stands, since all of them play at 1:00. So it'll be multi TVs trying to watch all those games since we got, the Giants and the Commanders playing at 1, as well as the Rams playing at 1. So against the Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles Sunday night 8:20. Don't watch, guys. Just watch the replay. I don't know.
Look, man, it's prime time game. You might as well just get used to it. It comes with the territory. It's the only games anybody who's not a fan of your team watches every year. That's the following morning, and after the game, you get texts from people who don't even like football, but know that your team lost. It also usually means that you're a fan of a team that's usually pretty good. Otherwise, that doesn't happen. So that's part of it. Look forward to seeing if we're going to be talking about the Eagles first in this segment next week or not, because that's kind of the barometer. We're going to take our first break of the night, and we'll see you guys in just a little bit. You're watching Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, Cardell, is another great year for the Jim Couch National Trading Showcase. Who stood out this year?
Yeah, man, it was the 2023 Jim Couch Showcase. We do it every year, annual showcase that brings some of the top players around the country, high school basketball, to come and not just play, but, train, get better. The mission is for all the kids to come. When they leave, they feel better. Even if it's 1% better, you're better. Today we had a loaded field. This year weekend we had a loaded field. Want to definitely thank Gonzaga, for coming up from the DC to play in they play obviously in the best high school league in the country, in WCAC. So to get a team of that caliber that is not only dominant locally, but dominant nationally to come and play, was a big deal. You know what I mean? And I, appreciate Coach Turner and all those guys for making the trip and representing. They came in, they handled business. They were not playing. I'm gonna touch on a couple of their players that stood out, but even as a team, they didn't play. They swept both teams. They beat Eagle Academy, who's the reigning NYC City champions, and then on Sunday they beat Mount Vernon, who's working on 10 state championships under legendary coach of his own, Bob Semino. So they represented well, man. Also want to take my hat off and shout out to Connolly's. For those that don't know, I call them the first family of the NBA front office. Joe Connolly, who's the director of scouting for Minnesota Timberwolves, his son Mike, came and played and played well, extremely well in the upperclassmen game. I'm gonna touch on his performance in a little bit, but he just so happened to bring his brothers, Tim Connolly, who's the president of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Pat Connolly, who's the assistant general manager for the Chicago Bulls. They all came through and checked out the talent on hand, which it's a big deal. You gotta understand, for a lot of these kids, this was probably their first time playing in front of NBA personnel. So for them to come through and just sit up in the stands like if they were a regular parent, and obviously in Joe's case he was, but as wear different hats as the uncles and father, but also checking out the other talent on hand, man, that just shows you the caliber of the showcase, and it just shows moving forward with these kids. If you come and play, you have no idea who's watching, and when you come to play. You know what I mean? Give everything you got, because you don't know. I'm for sure certain that a couple of the kids got on the NBA radar because of their performance, and they will be watched as they continue to grow and develop through high school, college, or if they go, the Ignite path or go to the NBL, next generation path and stuff like that in Australia, pathways like that. But, once again, thanks to them. But without further delay, I'm going to get into the standouts, man. First up is a player that really need no introduction. He's one of the top players in the junior class. He's ranked 32nd by ESPN. Gonzaga's Nick Lewis, 6'2", guard, could play the point, could play it too. He was just amazing. He won MVP in the showcase game against Mount Vernon. Shot lights out, defended well. Defended Mount Vernon's 5'7" point guard who's nasty in his own right. Defended him well. He could switch off, defend multiple positions, but it's his totality of his game that makes him special. Not only is he a 3-level scorer, excellent ball handler, has great vision, can pass the ball, great competitor. He's sharp. He has all the intangibles. He's tough. He's everything you want in a player, and there's a reason why he's ranked that high. There's a reason why he's coveted by pretty much every program in the country, man. Scary that he's a junior, because he's only going to get better and get sharper. You know what I mean? So I love what I saw from him. He definitely validated his ranking. Some kids come up there and they rank. They got a lot of hype, but you be like, yeah, he just know the right people. He's not that good, but nah. Nick Lewis is the real deal. Next up is his backcourt mate, Derek Dixon. Gonzaga, same class, 2025, a little bit taller at 6'4". Just a versatile guard, man, could do it all. The reason why Gonzaga was hard to deal with this weekend, will be hard to deal with during the season, is because the backcourt, Nick Lewis and Dixon, they can switch off playing a 1 or 2 seamlessly. You don't know, so you gearing up for one to possibly, play point guard, have point guard duties, when in reality it could be the other one on any given play, and you have no idea which way it's coming from, man. And the point of attack, so it's hard to game plan for that. And they're both efficient at what they do. But Dixon, man, he shot lights out. He won MVP of the first game against Eagle Academy in Brooklyn, the city champs. He did his thing, man. He had a game high of 21 points. He shot the ball well from 3, got to the lane, knocked down a floater, facilitated well, defended well. He can rebound. But the one thing I love about his game is he can move well without the ball, man. He's just sharp. Like a lot of kids, especially it happens in the NBA. They pass the ball up, they just stand in the spot. He not only moves, but he moves with purpose and effectiveness. Like he just don't move just to move. He'll do a dribble handoff, set a quick screen, then he cuts with purpose and precision where he gets right to the basket. So he's a threat. And you got to pick your poison. Either he's going to score or he's going to dump it off to one of his forwards or something. They're going to score. But either way, it makes their team that much more hard to defend just because of that. ball movement kills, man, and moving without the ball kills. It's the same thing. So it's hard to keep an eye on him when he's on the floor, man. He's just dynamic, man. He's right there behind Nick Lewis. He has a lot of offers as well from big time schools. I don't know why he's not ranked, and as one of the top juniors in the country. He's definitely up there in my eyes. I'm pretty sure he will be too. Maybe they just don't want to put two Gonzaga players up there, but if it warrants it, it warrants it. But bottom line is with that backcourt, to me, if there's a better backcourt in the high school ranks in the DMV, hey, please let me know, because I don't think there is. Moving forward to the MVP of the upperclassmen game, and who I believe is the best prospect at Jim Couch, who was the best prospect at Jim Couch, Mabel Mawood, kid from the Sudan, just came to the States, plays for Al Xavier Lutheran, 6'10" forward center. He's in the junior class as well. Dominant, both ends, inside, plays with a motor, plays with energy. He loves the defensive end just as much as he loves the offense. And what makes him special offensively is he's agile, quick, and moves like a guard, but he's skilled and playing like a traditional big man and getting on the perimeter, breaking you down and showing some guard skills. He can hit the pull-up threes. He can pass with effectiveness. He can handle the ball. He can post up and play like a big man. He's not afraid to bang and go up strong and try to dunk on you or whatnot. He can finish with either hand over both shoulders and either block. He's a lob threat. He runs the floor basket like a guard, which is essential for any big. You got to be able to run the floor because you get easy points that way, and you suck in the defense, so your guards can have room to shoot or roam. And he does that at will. And defensively, man, he take that in serious. Like a lot of bigs, when they hedge out on guards, they hedge out for a couple seconds and then look to get back to that man. This man hedges out on the guards and forces the guards damn near the half court, and then they so far out of reach where it's hard for them to try to make a play. He knows he has time, and he's automatically releasing, telling the guard, yo, go get him. And he's coming back to his man so they can't try to take advantage of a mismatch, man. And he's doing that on his own, communicating, just having that, just seeing that up close was just a sight to see. And it was just beautiful to watch. And another thing that's great about him is he can also move without the ball. That's what I mean by the guard and forward skills, man. He's not a big that, he's just going to be on the block or he's just trying to look for a quick three. He's constantly moving as well. Whoever taught him how to play the game knew what they were doing, man. And like you about to see right here when I'm talking about how he hedges this guy out. The guard, watch what he does. And watch how long he follows him. Damn near half court. Now get back to your man. See what I'm saying? It's just you don't see that even at the NBA level. They make excuses for not being able to play defense and whatnot, and it shouldn't be that way, man. Just a special talent. He's by far the best prospect that played this weekend. And he's playing without Xavier Lutheran. I think I was told they play on the overtime elite circuit. I think their team is Jelly Fam. That's the name of their team. So we all know the Thompson twins came from that circuit and got drafted. So it was a good chance he's going to get a lot of eyes on him. And he came up in the basketball academy in Africa. I think the NBA puts on. So they've done a great job developing them. Embiid came through there. I think Serge Ibaka way back in the day was like one of the first ones. Just a lot of African-born players that thrive came up in that academy, man. He's just happened to be the latest one. He's a special talent, man. And I wouldn't, of course, you just seeing that no one should be shocked if he's playing 82 games one day. It's just as simple as that. He's already a high major player right now, so it's not far-fetched to see him being that. Next up, one of the best players to me in the DMV, Mason Ellison out of Loyola Blakefield, 6'4" guard, junior class. Man, the junior class is loaded. They were strong this year. Super athletic wing, can defend multiple positions. He grew. He's a legit 6'4", got good length. Super explosive. Like I said, he can guard a 1, 2, and 3. Streaky shooter. When he's hot, he's hot. You know what I'm saying? But he can also be cold. He can be streaky. So that's the one element of his game that needs improvement. And if he does get it improving where he's becoming more of a knockdown shooter, it's going to be hard to stop the kid. It already is, but it's going to be very ugly. Because now he's going to have you at his mercy. But as far as getting the rock, rebounding, making plays for others, and getting the ball in the transition and getting to the basket, slashing to the basket, he does that in his sleep. And with his athleticism, his fearlessness, his size, touching around the basket, and his mentality, he looks to dunk everything. It's hard for a lot of people to guard him, to stay in front of him. He's a special talent, man. He's very he was underrated to me. You know, I felt like he was a high major prospect last year. He had a few mid majors coming throughout the high school season. He just got a big one when he just got offered by the home state team, Maryland, which I'm happy for him, man. He earned that. He earned that. He's that good. You know what I mean? So I expect a lot of other high majors to follow, and it's going to be a recruiting war. He's that special. You know what I mean? And just seeing him grow from last year where he came and won the underclassmen MVP, he was about 6 feet, 6'1", still athletic, dunking and stuff like that, to now is even more explosive. And now he's bigger. He's my height now, 6'4", and you can just see the confidence and assurance in him just maturing as a player, where he feels when he's stuck on the court, there's no reason why I shouldn't be the best player on the court. You can just see that in his mind, even though he may not say it, but he plays like it. So the sky's truly the limit for him, man. The thing for him is just keep working. Now that he's starting to get the big time offers, don't let that get to his head. You know, stay humble and just continue to grind, man, because he has the potential to play beyond college if he stays with it. Next up is one of the kids I'm most happy about, man, because a lot of these previous players, they already had a name. He made his name this weekend with the caliber of talent that was in the building in the upperclassmen game. And it's Mike Connolly, plays for St. Vincent Pallotti, 6'2" point guard, junior class again, 2025 kid, man. Look, he came up the last couple of years. You could tell he was trying to find his way as a player. A little timid. He always had skill. He always had IQ. But what he lacked was confidence and toughness to be able to execute in different situations where physicality was needed to make the play. Whatnot. And you could just tell he was trying to just feel himself out, see what he can be, because it's different when you play against national competition compared to when you're at home and you kind of running into guys consistently and stuff like that. You sometimes fight against the unknown, and the unknown can kind of bother you mentally a little bit. Not this year. Not only did he come back taller, he's 6'2" now than he was last year, where he was about 5'10". He came back about 6'2". He came in on a mission. His first touch of the game was a deep three. As soon as he checked in the game, no hesitation, pump fake, jab, let it fly, all that. Then he hit the next 2 threes. And just like that, he got 9 points on the board. His team was down. When he got in the game, his team was back up. And now it was just a battle. It was a back and forth battle for the rest of the game. They had other guards on the team, the black team or whatnot, that started over him, that was getting in the game or whatever. But the flow of the game was just different when he was in the game, man, where he orchestrated things. The guys got the ball when they were supposed to, where some of the other guys were over dribbling. He made the extra plays. He did the little things, the intangible things to make everything flow, setting screens, communicating, getting after it defensively, pressing full court, just doing all the things that help you win, making winning plays. He did those things. And then he came big in the clutch. When they were down 2 with about a minute left, leaked out ahead, made a tough layup over one of the defenders who was flying in, trying to block Glass's shot damn near at the top of the square. He made that tough layup in the clutch. And then in the very next possession, Solomon Aminu, who I'm going to touch on, got a big block. The ball was bouncing around, loose ball, 50-50 ball. He gets hit, and as he's falling down, he gets the ball and in one motion throws an on-and-down pass over his shoulder ahead to the basket, where one of the other guards got it, dished it to Aminu, who was hustling down the court after the block, and dunked the ball for the go-ahead bucket. And then he stepped to the line. He got fouled. He stepped to the line, and he made 1 or 2 to put him up for good. And they ended up coming back and win the game in the last minute, just making those type of plays throughout the game. He made winning plays throughout the game. And the thing is, he will not see talent like that throughout his high school season, maybe throughout his high school career. Unless St. Vincent Pallotti go play some national teams, he will not see that size. Again, in the upperclassmen game, there were 8 players, 6'8", between 6'8" and 6'11", that were athletic and skilled. You know what I mean? And confident. They weren't scrubs at all. And he thrived in that environment. So if he can thrive in that environment against that size, it should be a big season, man. He really showed that he's turning a corner in his game, and he's one you need to keep you just need to keep an eye on if you're a college coach, man, because he could be one of them sleeper gems that D1 get, and he could be a monster, in college as he continues to grow, get more confident. The next step for him is just filling out physically, getting stronger, getting more explosive, getting all that, so he can impose his will even more on the game. Once he get like that, I think it's off to the races for him. he be one of them players we in college be like, yo, what why didn't you recruit him? You know, head coaches ask the assistant like, why didn't you recruit him? How he get out the area? How he get to that school? What were y'all doing? So, and that's always validation for a kid who coming into high school. You could say most recruiters weren't even looking at. You see what I'm saying? So, he's gonna pass a lot of guys up for sure. Next up is Christian Gerdak, 6'10", big man, center, plays for Gonzaga, junior class. Again, it's a common theme, man. The junior class. When you see him at first glance, looking like a tall, country white boy, man. No disrespect. You're not sure if he can move or whatnot. You just don't quite know what you're gonna get. But he's fairly athletic. He moves well. Has great touch around the basket. A variety of moves. Good footwork. Strong. He plays like a big man. He ain't out there trying to shoot threes or something. He's trying to punish you. And he's tough. He's tough, man. And that's what you want out your big man. And he complements those guards and the wings that they have on Gonzaga well, because he holds down he holds down the post, he holds down the paint, both ends as well. And another thing, the underrated part of his game that I love is that he's super sharp and efficient when he sets screens and either pops or rolls. And even when he got a re-screen, so to speak, because they ain't get the look that they want, he can feel the game and read the game and is in sync with Lewis and Dixon to do that, where they're going to get a good shot 9 times out of 10. If it ain't him, it's going to be one of the 3 or it's going to be one of the wings open, man. And, he's the special talent, man, you know what I'm saying, in his own right, you know what I'm saying? He won't wow people because he's not super athletic. He ain't going to come down windmill on the whole team, but he going to get you consistent double-doubles, and consistent double-doubles help you win a lot of games and helps you win championships. So, with that being said, he has his fair share of mid to high major D1 offers. I expect more to come, especially if he keep playing like he did this weekend throughout the season. Oh, he'll have his fair share of choices, man. So the sky's the limit as he continue to work on his body and getting in even better shape and cutting down the body fat and stuff like that. He could be even more dangerous. So it's an impressive prospect to keep an eye on as well. Next up, Ja'Kai Sanders, kid out of New York, senior guard out of Eagle Academy, Brooklyn. He had a tough task. He had to battle Nick Lewis and Derek Dixon at the same time, Saturday in the big game, man. Boy, did he come ready to play. He was he can hit shots. He's again a streaky shooter, but he is lethal, strong, and explosive, going like attacking off the bounce, man, especially in pick and roll situation. Gonzaga struggled to keep him in front of him. They did, man. He was the reason why they stayed in the game, man. When Gonzaga looked like they jumped out big in the first quarter, and then Eagle Academy came back and made it a game, and he was the bigger reason why. And you could tell he's also their leader as far as spiritually and emotionally, man, because he kind of barked at the Gonzaga players. Even the big man, him and Gerdak, had some words, and that kind of set the tone for his teammates. Like, all right, don't be scared, let's hoop. You know what I'm saying? Then they started fighting. He had one play I love where he, went around the screen, another dribble crossover, went up and dunked that thing. That's what you see in the league from 6'3" guards, man. Those are the type of plays that they make, and he's doing that in high school, man. He can also pass as well. Even though he's more of a scoring type guard, he can definitely pass and facilitate. He has good vision. He's a strong defender. Definitely ferocious rebounder for his size. He'll get up in there with the trees and pull down the board, and then don't care about the contact at all, man. So he's another tough-minded guard. He has a few not mid-major, but low major offers. Hearing is a little bit academic related or whatnot, so I'm hoping he gets that under control because he definitely can help a lot of D1 programs with how confident, strong, and explosive he is, especially off the bounce, man. And you can always improve as a shooter to complement that, man. So, he was another one that did his thing. And last but not least, as far as the standouts, Kyle White, 6'1", 8th grader, legit 8th grader. Not one of these reclass 8th graders, be 15 in 8th grade killing. You should kill if you're 15, legit 13. Special point guard. He's one of the most special 8th graders I've seen, in my days, man. Number one will always be Joe Hampton, because that boy was just different. 6'4", 6'5", doing the stuff he was doing at that time. But, White is special in his own right as a point guard, legit 6'1", too. The way his feel is, his instincts, his IQ for the game combined with his skill and his speed, man, like it's not far-fetched to say that he could start on a lot of high school teams as an eighth grader right now. Like that's how advanced he is. It's scary, especially with his size and everything. Even when he's flashy, is with purpose. He's not just doing it just to wow the crowd. He's doing it to make a play or get to the basket or get the jumper, man. And you seeing all that come together for eighth grader. That's just, I'm really trying to find a point guard. You know, he looked like a young Kenny Anderson. That's what he looked like. It's effortless. And then on defense, his instincts as well, man. Like he gets after you on that end. Like if the ball's exposed, it's in danger. You know what I mean? Anyway, and even with bigs and stuff, you think you might be able to post up and go into your move. He's coming down to swarm you and make you feel like it's 2 or 3 players around you, and you don't get that from kids that young. You don't even get that from guards in the league. Let's face it. You know, we see it every night. But this kid, he already has the potential, so he's been coached extremely, extremely well. And the fact that he he ain't even started his 8th grade season. He's about to start that, so he basically got 5 years to grow and develop, man. They better hope he don't get to be like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", because it's easy to see that he's going to be like a top 10 player in the country, and he's just going to be dominant because he has all the tools right now, man. You know what I'm saying? He just got to stay with it. Don't let the wolves circle around him and, you know, get him off course, mess up his mental, man. And he just stay locked into focus. He got a very, very bright future ahead of him. A few honorable mention names: Tavian Tyler out of Mount Vernon, 5'7" sophomore point guard. Look, he had a tall task, man. He dealing with, you know, Nick Lewis and Derek Dixon in the game against Gonzaga. You know, that's 6'2", 6'4". And he's always at a disadvantage with size, but his heart is big as Shaq. And yeah, he struggled with his shot early. Gonzaga did a good job of pressuring him, making his size bother him and fatigue him. But he still found ways and stretches to get going and make shots and make plays. And defensively, he's picking Nick Lewis up full court consistently. You know what I mean? And he got his fair share of wins in that battle. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, a lot of guards in high school just won't do that, you know, because Nick can handle the hell out the rock, man, with his quickness and stuff. But Tavian Tyler is a dog. That's why I love that kid. He's the reason why a DMV team last year got beat by 30 plus because they couldn't stop him as a freshman. So I was interested to see that matchup, man. And, you know, he battled, he fought. And that's all you can say. He can shoot the ball. He can shoot from all 3 levels. Super quick and fast and over court. Yeah, he has great court vision. Gets after defensively. You know my rule with small point guards, man. You better be a pest defensively or I can't deal with you. Because otherwise you're just going to give up points. So, you know, he definitely, you know, shine, man. And I love what I saw out of him. Next up is Alex Tuamu, Gonzaga, 6'6" wing. Another one from the junior class. He's that Swiss Army knife. Nick Lewis and Derek Dixon going to get the headlines, but I think Alex Tuamu, he's the guy that does it all. And I also think he might be their best long-term prospect because of his size, because he could do a lot of things that they can do. He just don't need to do it. He's just playing his role so they can try to win games, but he can. But he's also more athletic and bigger. You see what I'm saying? So with him being able to learn a role and thrive in that role when it's time for him to get the keys, whether it's in high school, when he gets to college and stuff, he's going to be well-equipped and know what to do because, one, he's seeing it, and he's going to be ready for it because he's finally getting his chance to have the keys, so to speak. And he's that talented where he could drive the car and drive it well, man. So, you know, he can shoot from all 3 levels. He can defend 1 through 4, especially at the high school level. He's a lob threat. He moves well without the ball. Rebounds well. He can handle. Whatever you need him to do, he can do. And it's rare to have that high school player be that complete, you know, at this stage, man. But he's pretty complete. It's just a matter of just sharpening and becoming more and more efficient at what he does, man. So, and with Coach Turner, that won't take long. And last but not least, Solomon Aminu, another kid from Africa, played in the same, you know, African league with Mawut, 6'8" forward in the junior class as well. I'll save your Lutheran, so you could tell that backcourt is going to be nasty. Him and Mawut. That front court is going to be nasty with him and Maruk for I'll save your Lutheran playing on the overtime elite circuit. You know, he had the big block and hustle play when he ran down the floor and got the go-ahead dunk. That's what he does, man. He's a high motor, physical, athletic, big who loves to do the dirty work, rebound, set screens, running it, dunk, grab offensive rebounds, putbacks, has a nice little mid-range jumper as well. Decent from the free throw line. Loves to defend. I mean, I don't even want people to take this wrong way, but Africans don't mind playing defense. Well, most Africans, there's one that I'm not gonna mention right now. It ain't that time, but most out they get after it, man. They don't like being scored on. They battle, they compete, and that's that's what you see out on. They compete like their life depend on it, and that's what you saw. Look, the way he plays the game, any team could use him because he's gonna make plays and not have to have a play call for him. He's gonna make plays, and you're gonna feel him throughout the game. Doing the little dirty work, the little things that a lot of players don't like to do. And then with that, you're gonna see his value. So I could easily see him being a double-double machine, like 15 type stuff all the time, 15-12, 20 and 10 type stuff all the time, because he's just relentless, man. If he stay out of foul trouble, he's gonna be always putting up big time numbers, man, for real. So, and also another one that had a solid performance was Nigel Harris, junior, plays for Oxford Hill, 6-foot point guard, had the mid-range jumper going, tough, stocky guard, drove to the lane, finished with the trees, took the contact well. That's his game. You know what I mean? As far as play well off the ball, in these type of settings, certain guards can always go to try to demand the ball, but he flowed effortlessly with him. Fine, I just beat the two. And then when he got his chance, he got the rock coming off screens, daylight. He was knocking it down, man. So, he's underrated player that people around here should also keep an eye on.
Look, man, it's always wonderful when you come back to share who stood out. So I'm happy once again. Another year, another great event, and another good showing by these young men. And I urge you all to do what I do every year. Every time Cardell comes back from an event, just go ahead, jot the names down. So if they end up at your favorite school or hurting your favorite school on the next level, you remember where you heard them first. It's not a shock. And as they progress, you get to mentally just take note of them and be aware of them much earlier than, when the masses get on it. So it's just a great practice that I do, and I urge you guys to do that as well. What we'll be doing now is taking our second break. When we get back, we will be talking to Ray about the Washington Wizards. You're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. I want to thank Cardell again for sharing his list of standouts from this year's Jim Couch National Training Showcase. Ray, we're getting closer and closer to the regular season starting in the NBA. What have the Wizards been up to here in preseason?
Yeah, man, it's that time again. Wizards basketball rolling around. They're 2-0 in the preseason so far. They came out on top against the Hornets in their last game. Had a huge fourth quarter. They didn't shoot the ball well, but they showed up defensively and held the Hornets to an equally feud out offensive night. And they were able to squeeze out the win, man. And really, that's what I'm looking for from them. I think this is going on 3 or 4 years now where me, you, and Cardell have been just harping on, their defensive intensity, their defensive presence and consistency. And that's where their success is going to lie. We know they can score the basketball, between Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. They got 2 guys that can put the ball in the hole, pretty effectively. And with Corey Kisper's continuous development, we saw from what he turned into from his rookie year to his second year. He went from pretty much just a catch and shoot guy. Then he started to put the ball on the floor and create and do other things. So, just looking at forward to the next stages of his development. But yeah, man, they're going to have to get a defensive identity. Without that, they're just going to be in the same boat they've been in. But to that point, their lottery pick, Bilal Coulibaly, he's already looking like the best defender on the team, and that's very promising. He's had a couple of plays in preseason, where he's like whoever's been working with him and showing him how to play defense, they've been on their job, man. Like he's made plays at the rim, made plays on the perimeter and help, certain reads he's been able to make. It's just been fun to watch. Once he gets kind of adjusted and comfortable to the speed and athleticism of the NBA game, he's going to be a terror on that end. And it's good to see them bringing a guy with that type of potential and with already that that attention to detail on that end of the floor. Hopefully it spreads throughout the rest of the team. They're a little undersized, so from a rebounding standpoint, they're going to have to do that collectively. I know Wilson, you talked to Balil about how the wings are going to have to dig in and help the bigs from a rebounding standpoint. It is going to have to be a team effort, man. They can't just leave it up to Gaff. And as far as Gaff goes, he's going to have to definitely going to have to stay out of foul trouble this year, man. That's been the thing that's been plaguing him since he's been in the league. He's gotten incrementally better, as his time has gone on, but that's going to be something that he has to get under control, like severely, because after him, it really gets kind of thin. They're already not the biggest up front, but yeah, man, hopefully that's something the coaches have been working with him on, and it's just something he's going to have in the back of his mind. It's great that he's athletic. It's great that he's a shot blocker, but at certain points, you're not going to be able to chase everything, because it's going to put you in a bad spot. And also, the guys at the perimeter are going to have to help him out, because if people are just getting free runs at him, then that's going to kind of put his back against the wall, and that's the type of stuff that leads to foul trouble, because he can't just leave the basket unprotected. So yeah, man, just looking forward to how they progress, how they develop. Again, like I said, not worried about the offense, man. They brought in Tyus Jones. He's a sure-handed point guard. He's going to be able to run the show, and get the ball to guys where they need it. And then, there's going to be those nights that we've seen from Kuz in the past where he just goes off. We already know what Jordan Poole's capable of offensively. And Kuz is just going to have to be better with his decision-making, man. Like we've seen at points where when he's playing within himself or playing under control, he wrecks teams, but we've also seen the opposite of that, where he's erratic and just kind of throwing up anything, and then he wrecks his own team. So we want a little bit more of the composed Kuz, as opposed to the alternative. So yeah, man, just ready to get the season started and see where they go.
Yeah, I thought that was a great point you brought up, just about the decision making and just discernment, not only for Gaff, but for Poole, Kuz as well. Obviously both those guys, Kuz and Poole, haven't won championships, but you weren't the guy in those situations and didn't shoulder the brunt of those responsibilities or decisions. Obviously was expected of you in a much lesser capacity. It's a little bit different. One of the things Coach West mentioned after practice on Tuesday was he wants to see as much as he can out his top 8 to 9 guys. When someone asked, would some of the folks who contributed to that late game push play more minutes? Look, man, we're running out of preseason games. We're a week from the show. We're going to want to see we're going to want to see the rotation guys. And like you mentioned behind Gaff, I think you guys saw some of the clip there, like the bigs after that are Mike Muscala and Danilo Gallinari, neither of which came into this league as true fives. So like you said, keep an eye on Gaff and how he handles that is going to be huge. And yeah, the Wizards don't have size in the middle, but they have size on the wings. Those 6'8", 6'9", 3s and 4s. Bro, y'all need to be averaging about at least 6 boards a game this season. It has to come from somewhere, right? It's really that simple. So we have a couple of times. We'll see you guys later this week with Wizards Outlook and Playback. Then obviously next week when we see you guys on the Focus, we gear up for, the opening curtain going up on this year's NBA season. All right, moving from the Wizards on to the WNBA Finals. Last time we talked to you guys, it was after Game 1, heading into Game 2. We saw the Aces take care of business in both Games 1 and Games 2. So that meant the Liberty were going home down 2 with their season essentially on the line, and they responded well. New York came home, got a season-extending win, 87-73. The Aces lost the game and a couple key players. They lost Chelsea Gray and Kia Stokes, both ruled out for Game 4 with foot injuries. Jonquel Jones led the way for New York in Game 3 with 27 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. Brandon Stewart added 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks. The Aces were held to just 33% shooting from the floor in the loss. Game 4 is Wednesday in New York, So I'd like to get all of your thoughts on Game 3, and then looking ahead to Game 4. Carter, we'll start with you.
Yeah, man. The Aces are in a predicament, man. Chelsea Gray being out, and Kia Stokes. Kia Stokes is your best defender. She's also a capable shooter when she looks to shoot. And Chelsea Gray, obviously Asia gonna get the headlines because she's been doing her thing. Jackie and Kelsey, the big wings, the way they can shoot and all that, but Chelsea's the one that make everything go. She makes everything flow, man. She's been killing Vandersloot, and on both ends, she's been killing her. And if you have that go away, I don't know, man. That'd be tough, man, because now it's a chance for Vandersloot to wake up. And we all know for high-level pros of this caliber, it don't take much for them to get in rhythm and get the momentum on their side. And then you're in the dogfight, you know what I mean? And that's what this has the potential to be. Stokes has also done a good job of helping contain Stewie. You know what I mean? And, the only really one constant for the Liberty has been John Quayle. Even with Stokes, it's not just with Stewie. When she has to switch on Laney, she's done a good job as well. That's why Asia made it a point to shout her out when she won Defensive Player of the Year. Like, nah, she's a big reason why I look better than what I really am, because she holds the fort down in many ways, and that's why I keep telling people, man, we gotta start putting defense up there with offense as far as the same level of impact, man, because maybe even more. You just can't win if you don't get stops. You just can't. It's impossible. You got to be able to hold up on that end and get stops, man, or you're just not going to win. But this is a hell of a predicament, especially for them, because, Becky Hammond been only going about six deep, honestly, in the finals, maybe 7 early in the playoffs. She hasn't went deep into the bench, man. Look, these are one of those games, man. It's one of those legacy games. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, like, honestly, Asia, look, they robbed you an MVP. They did you dirty. These are the games where you come with a 40-20 performance, shut all that up. Have all them people like, I apologize. I mean to. We've seen it happen before. I can think of one off the top of my head. Mr. Dream and David Robinson. When in his building, it was like, I'm going back to get my MVP. And boy, did he go get the MVP. Man, it was bad. The man got embarrassed. David Robinson just got the trophy and embarrassed the man right there on the home court. Let it be known game 1, like, y'all messed up. I'm gonna have to kill this dude to show you messed up. This is a chance for him, man. These are the type of games where if you wounded, people not really expecting you to win. You put your name up there with the Coops and the Tina Thompsons, the Lisa Leslies, and all those all-time great WNBA players. Not to say she's not already there, but you solidify a stamp, because now it's like, all right, it's clear she's one of them, and this is what you have to do, and they're going to need her to if they're going to win this game on the road, wounded as they are, down 2 plays, because anything can happen in the game 5, man. Anything can happen, especially going back to the Aces, and you still going to be wounded. It's not like they're going to get completely healthy before game 5. So don't come in there with the mentality like, do what we can, but if the game get away from us, oh, well, we still got game 5. Nah, because then the Liberty are confident. And they're going to go in your building looking for get back. Dangerous team. So, we're going to see how it goes, man. Well, yeah, it's definitely a predicament, but look, you still got Kelsey, you still got Jackie Young. And the thing about it, I ain't think about children now. Kelsey Plum played point guard in college. So I can see Becky, you go over there. You just switch some things up a little bit, man. You go over there, man. You know what I'm saying? The Asian, show why you the MVP. Go get you that 30-20, 40-20 game. Leave no doubt. So it's going to be fun to see.
For sure. Definitely looking forward to it. Up next, Octavia.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't have a series before, we have one now. Especially like these were the 2 teams that, pretty much from the inception of the trades of Jonquel Jones, Stewie and Vandersloot all going to New York. These are the 2 teams that we envisioned being at this point of the season. But then when the series started, it looked like all aces, getting 2 games in the beginning. in the first two games, being up 2-0, going back to New York. I'll be the first to say, at least for me, there was no way that I assumed that the New York Liberty would be able to win this series, get a game, yes, and in this game, that's what they proved to do. But it's only getting tougher for the Aces now that Chelsea's out, as well as Kia Stokes. I believe they said Chelsea was on a scooter at their practice. Kia Stokes was on crutches. And Kia Stokes has more of an opportunity to play in Game 5 than Chelsea Gray does. Looking like Chelsea won't play for the rest of this year. I think they even said her status for the Olympics could be in jeopardy. So we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, the New York Liberty did all the things that I feel like we expected them to do early on in the series. And the coaching of Sandy Brondello has definitely changed it up. You can see the changes in the defensive scheme for them, the way that they put other players. I think they had Enescu on Kia Stokes. I mean, just to hide certain deficiencies. So they went out there and were balling. Jonquel has been balling the entire series. She's been dragging them. And I mean, you could see it sometimes during the game. She's literally begging them to come and help her. But if they're not helping her, she's like, I'm going to have to do it on my own. And that's what she's been doing. So imagine if Stewie can get going in this next game. Imagine if Enescu, who it can be a spark at any time. And we know Benajelani is, very tough. And she can bang with, Jackie and Kelsey. So it's definitely shifting to a series now. I expect Kelsey Plum to be the starting point guard now that Chelsea will be out, which is a huge, huge blow for them because Chelsea's been playing out of her mind. But now it's going to literally be on Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Asia Wilson to will their team. They've already only been going 6 players deep as it is. And I'm so interested to see how Becky Hammond is going to do some coaching magic to figure out who she's going to get into this rotation. Hopefully those other players, the Kirstens, the 2 big girls, Sydney Colson, if she gets any playing time as well, how they're going to fare in this game. It's going to be a good one. If New York can win this next game and tie it up 2-2 going back to Las Vegas, it's going to be, I'm hoping it's not Sunday. I feel like it's going to be a Sunday game though, but it's going to be must watch and it's going to be for all the marbles. So I'm super excited to see how it shakes out.
I appreciate it, Octavia. Ray?
Yeah, man, this the series looks a little bit different than the last time we spoke. Vegas they looked to be completely in control. Things have changed a little bit. New York is finally on the board, and on top of that, Vegas has lost a couple players. Their rotation was already short to begin with. Becky was pretty much going with about 6 women rotation throughout the playoffs. So yeah, losing Chelsea Gray, that hurts tremendously. Kia Stokes, that hurts as well from a size perspective. And even we saw last game her starting to spread her wings offensively a little bit. I'm sorry, that was game 2 where she where she just kind of came out and hit a couple of big shots and was able to produce offensively. But they're in the finals, man. So they're a great team. We got to see how they respond. New York responded really well in game 3. I think the defensive adjustment from Sandy Brondello and switching up those matchups, that was key because in games 1 and 2, the Liberty guards were just getting mangled, and that it just didn't give them a chance to catch their breath and get their footing. They blink and they're down nearly 20 points. It's difficult to get yourself back in the game from that. And then even if you are lucky enough to fight your way back, you've expended so much energy that that's tough to finish. That's kind of what we saw in game 2. Vegas, they jumped out to another huge first quarter lead. Second quarter, Jonquel Jones turned up all the way and kind of made it manageable. But they went in halftime, got settled down. Vegas came out in the third quarter and blew their doors off. But game 3, man, it was Jonquel was doing what she's been doing the entire playoffs. And Vegas, their shooting didn't travel. The thing about that, it's highly unlikely they shoot that poorly again. And New York's defense has something to do with that. Jackie Young, Kelsey, and Chelsea Gray, they weren't able to move as freely as they had been in the first two games. They put a little bit more length and size on them and speed. So, it was a little bit tougher for them to get going. But, it's even with the personnel issues Vegas is going to have with the injuries. Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, and Kelsey Plum is still a hell of a lot to deal with, man. By no means is it just doom and gloom and everything's falling apart for the Aces. They can still very much win this series. It's just going to take somebody that's maybe didn't expect to be in this position to come in and be ready to play. We saw Kirsten Bell get some garbage time minutes, and she looked like deer in headlights. And it's nothing wrong with that. She's a young player. This is her first time really in this position. She was on the team last year when they won, but she didn't get much floor time. So I don't know if Becky goes to her. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of Kayla George and Elena Coates because they're going to need that size. John Quill's just been wrecking shop inside, and kudos to her, man, for just kind of switching up everything she does basically. And we're seeing her be a real five. She's sitting down in front of the rim, putting those girls on her back, cleaning up the offensive boards, getting putbacks and things like that. And last game, she stepped out and does what we know she can do and hit a couple threes. So, I mean, she's been one of the few consistent bright spots for New York in this series, man. Games 1 and 2 were won handily by Vegas, but they had no answer for John Quill in either game, and didn't have an answer for in Game 3 as well when New York was finally able to get a win. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try to limit her, along with maneuvering around the kind of surprise lineup we're going to have to see due to the injuries. But having Alicia Clark play more minutes is not a bad thing either. So, it's definitely not curtains closed for them at this point. So we'll see, man. I think it's going to be a great game, and this is why we play. If everything was decided on paper, then that'd be a different story. But fortunately for us, it's not. They're going to have to tip it up, and may the best team win.
For sure. Definitely looking forward to it. And I love that you brought that up with Alicia Clark. Most teams, their sixth woman is not a former two-time champion. I think sometimes she gets forgotten because of, the number one overall picks they have on their roster. This is somebody who's anchored, who's defensively anchored 2 championship teams on the wing. You could do far worse. As you said, can't wait to see what happens. No matter what happens this week, whether it's Wednesday night, everything's over, or later, we get a Game 5. Next Tuesday, when we record this, we'll be recapping the WNBA Finals as a whole. So we'll see y'all then. Rapid Fire is coming up next.
So we're going to start on the NBA side of things. Calvin Booth, he had some interesting comments recently, even talking about the construction of the Nuggets and their championship run last season. Bones Highland was a developing gunner off the bench, so to speak, for Denver last year. Second-year guard, was averaging 12.1 points a game and shooting 37.8% from three. The kind of player that teams are looking for that can contribute, but has the potential to grow into something more. Nuggets GM Kyle Booth traded him to the Clippers at the last trade deadline for Thomas Bryant and a couple second-round draft picks. Why? Booth was shockingly honest about that in the discussion with the Ringer's Kevin O'Connor about building and the challenges of maintaining with the new salary cap. A dynasty endeavor, and why in his mind Michael Porter Jr. stayed and Highland was out. Quote, one of them, quote, I knew you couldn't have 2 guys that couldn't guard, and we couldn't have 2 guys that were young and kind of more me guys, Booth said. Mike Porter makes $30 million. He's one of the best shooters in the NBA, so Bones, there's no place for you. straight to the point, I guess. So, Octavia, we're gonna start with you. What are your thoughts on Calvin Booth's simple explanation as to why he moved Highland and kept Porter?
Sounds about right to me. I mean, and honestly, this is also another lesson for players that are coming up. If you can play defense, you can be anywhere. You know, if you can play defense, you can be anywhere. Everybody can, well, not everybody can shoot, but but if you can play defense, that's what they're looking for. So you should take pride in that. And like you said, if it's Bones Highland or Michael Porter Jr., I'm going Michael Porter Jr. too. And you could tell, unfortunately, that Bones was a me guy, like Calvin Booth said. You know, he's young, he's newer in the league. He wants to contribute. He wants to make a name for himself. And where they were in their progression for their team, they didn't need that. We got the guy who is the guy. So we don't need somebody else who's in here going to pretend like, you know, he wants to be the guy. Well, they got multiple guys, to be honest. So I think it's a breath of fresh air to hear like just blunt and plain, like that's just what it is, instead of the sugarcoating like, oh, we couldn't find a good spot for him. And, you know, if we have more roster spots, more cap space, like I like just, and I mean, I don't know how Bones Highland took it, but I would assume that I would rather somebody just tell me the truth. Like, all right, it is what it is. I can't make, if it's not what is conducive to both of us, I'm gonna go somewhere else and try to make a name for myself, which I think he'll have maybe some chance to do. We'll never know until, you know, we see him play. But I think it's refreshing that he was candidly honest. And I don't see anything wrong with it because I 100% agree.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't wrong, but Jesus, like, my man must have had a few drinks before they before they talk to him, because that's brutal honesty for your ass. Yeah, he laid it out. You know, we got one guy making 30 mil and a rotation player. Like, what do you expect me to do? You know, and yeah, and then that's just how it is. And maybe people should take this as a learning lesson, you know. Unless you're already proclaimed to be that dude, you're gonna have to play a role when you get to a team. You're not gonna be able to have the freedom you had in college. You know, this is another level. So whatever your plans were for what you thought your career was gonna look like, push that shit to the side until you prove yourself and are given that rope from a coach or whomever. You know, so yeah, man. I mean, I had no issue with what he said. I'm just kind of surprised that he said it in that setting. But hey, man, I think we've been to the to the other extreme of sugarcoating and nonsense too long. Maybe people just need to start being more brutally honest, and maybe that will get people to operate differently, because a lot of these guys in the league and every level, to be perfectly honest, have an inflated sense of self-worth, so to speak. And maybe people need to hold up a mirror a little more often, man. So, you know, it is what it is. I can only imagine the clutching of pearls that happened in the media room when he said that. But hey, man, truth is truth. And I don't think anybody should disagree who's watched the Nuggets play with Bones Highland there.
Wilson.
Yeah, sometimes the truth hurts. I know in a time when everybody else doesn't believe in the truth or tries to sugarcoat things, man, he was asked a question, he answered it.
Yeah, for me, it's refreshing to hear that. I love this story because it's a message to players at every level, especially the younger levels, the college and the high schools, AAU, and their families. Like, though, you gotta understand, everybody in the NBA was the man scored a bunch of points, whether it was in college or high school, AAU, they were their club, whatever club they came from overseas. They scored a bunch of points. They know how to put the ball in the hole. But it's different when you get to the league. That 6'4" guard you might have been scoring against in college is now 6'7", 6'8" guarding you and longer, probably even more athletic than you. So you can't get your shot off the same. What else can you do? If that's all you can do and you're not able to score, you will be out of the league unless you bring some other skills to the table that can help the team. Now, as soon as they trade Bones, what happened? Christian Braun got those minutes. He ain't played a lot during the season here and there, get in a game here and there. But he was huge in the playoffs. Huge. Made big plays. Playing a role. Just defense, getting out on the open court, obviously learning how to set screens to get Michael Porter, Jamal Murray, and those guys open. And obviously, Jokic, if you just move and get over, he's going to find you. And he getting his points that way. So you can't always be about me, man, stuff like that. Fine. And the thing about Bones, he's young now. But you can have a ring on your resume right now. Just playing a role. You see what I'm saying? You don't know how your career can turn out. And when we hopefully down the line, knock on wood, he's a 9-10-year vet. Nothing happens, no injury where he's out the league or something. He's a 9-10-year vet. And you like, all right, man, I done did all the individual stuff, man. I'm trying to win. Could have had that. Now you realize it's not that easy. See what I'm saying? And ironically, you get traded to the Clippers. And guess what else? Guess what you still have to do? Play a role with a new team. It's funny how that works. So that's another team still telling you ain't that guy still. You know what I mean? At least not right now. We got other guys that we rolling with right now. So it's just crazy how it is, but it's a message, man. It's a message. It's a couple messages where the team doesn't revolve around you, and also you got to bring more to the table than just scoring the ball, man. You got to be multidimensional, and if you can't do that, then all that scoring and stuff you did, we live in an area where they glorify that shit, man. Yeah, man, I used to get 25 in high school and all that, and you wonder why he ain't get to college because he couldn't do nothing else. You see what I'm saying? So I love that he's this, honest, and they can't really attack him because he played in the league. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, what you gonna say? Yeah, I know what it's like, and he carved out a long career or whatever as a role player, so he understands the details of doing that and and the importance in doing that and why you have to do that. So, I love it. I don't think everybody else is gonna follow his blueprint, so to speak. He can do that. He got a ring, so he has some. He has a little rope. Whereas other GMs is like, man, you can't be causing no drama if we losing. So, we'll see how it goes. But it was refreshing to hear somebody be honest but be honest, not in some bitter asshole type of way, but be honest. And when you look at it, you're like, it makes sense. Last question, then we're gonna get out of here. This is actually a fun one, but it makes sense across sports. Al Michaels, he appeared on Jimmy Kimmel's Live and wasted no time getting straight to a trending topic about the NFL that a lot of fans have been in an uproar about. One, Taylor Swift. Michaels told Jimmy Kimmel that last Thursday Broncos Chiefs game that Amazon would show the pop star in moderation during the game. Michaels expanded on that philosophy when he was talking to Kimmel. Obviously, quote, "We had to be judicious," Michael said. "We had a game last Thursday night in Kansas City. We knew she's going to be there. How much do you show her? She'd been on twice, and football fans were going, enough. But we were praying she'd come in the booth and sing for us." Joking. Michael said, "I had to acknowledge it, but what do? You can't fool around. Otherwise, people will say that sounds hokey and the whole thing. We had a shot of her, and I didn't know how to describe her." Kimmel then played the clip of Michael saying Swift was Kelsey's good buddy and girlfriend, which got laughs from the audience. Quote, "It's hard because people tune in to watch a football game," said Michaels. "I'm not doing Access Hollywood. At a certain point, it's like, where do you go from here?" So not just limited to the NFL, my question, not just on the NFL side, but we see it on the NBA side where so much focus and attention on celebrities when you're trying to watch the game. Do you feel like that needs to end, or do y'all like it? We're gonna start with you, Ray.
Yeah, it's too much at this point, man. Like, if people are there, show them, cool. Even in the arena, they show them on the big board or whatever. That's cool. Acknowledge them. I get that, but they got storylines about it. Like, she's the header on the NFL Twitter page. Like, it's just ridiculous, man. Like what are we doing here? Like, it's foolishness at this point, man. And that just lets me know who they have making these decisions. Like, come on, dog. Like, I personally have had enough. I do not care. I want to see a football game. Like, and then to have, like, they got talking points surrounding it. Like we need to move on. Like, seriously, it's embarrassing. But yeah, like, it just speaks more to the state of sports media right now. It's been trending this way for a while. So until other folks are in a position to make decisions that go in another direction, we're gonna continue to see this. But yeah, it's nonsense at this point, man. And yeah, I would love for it to end and go back to to how it was. And like, you could be entertaining and infuse culture into sports without being ridiculous like this. Like, we saw that, like ESPN used to be good at that. Guys like Stuart Scott and Van Pelt and those guys, like they were good at melding those two worlds without it being overbearing, and taking away from the main things. But it's a different day, man. I guess I'm just to get off my lawn guy at this point, but whatever, man.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think if certain non-colonizers get in those positions, it's gonna be another one like Beyonce. It's all about the engagement these days, man. Wilson.
Yeah, I'm over it. I've been over it. Can we just please get the actual, like, on sports broadcast, just talk about the sport, like, every once in a while, man. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't bother y'all too deeply for the people that are doing play-by-play to actually, cover the game. It would be refreshing. I'm happy for Travis Kelce, I guess. I honestly don't care who he's dating. Same thing for Taylor Swift. I honestly don't care. I know as I've gotten older, I watch way too many games on silent, and I'm fine. I used to look forward to people's calls in games for big games and things of that nature, and that just speaks volumes of where we are. Like, or if I want to hear that, I could just have Twitter on. Like, that's also silent for me, unless I, hit the sound option, which I barely do. I have no interest in it. Just talk about the game, please. And like, even the way they talk about the games is watered down now, versus how, like, they're more excited to talk about that type of stuff, and we get like generic type comments in the play-by-play. It's sad.
Octavian.
I too am over it. Like, very, very much over it. Like, I don't want her to show up to another game. Like, I want her to go back to wherever she came from, go back on tour. Like, it's very much, it's entirely too much. Like Bray said as well, like, it's cool when, you're at I feel like it's cool, like, when you're at a big name arena or like in a big name town, like they do Celebrity Row, they're like the Lakers games and the Knicks games. Like, these are like historic places of all these great sports events. We're talking about in the middle of Kansas City. Now, granted, Kansas City is Patrick Mahomes' town. I understand that. But she's the only one there. Like, there's no other celebrity that is at Kansas City games but her. So I don't understand. We've never seen, now granted, of course, Taylor Swift, Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, two different things. But we've never seen Brittany Mahomes as much as we've had recently either, now that she's sitting next to Taylor Swift. Like, it's very much a lot. And for people that actually watch sports, like, for real, and not just, oh, this is the cool thing to do, everybody watches Thursday night football, let me watch Thursday night football. But like, no, like people who actually watch sports, like it's infuriating, it's exhausting. I don't want to hear about she flew on the plane with them. He bought out the restaurant after the game. I don't care. If I wanted to know that, like you all said, I watch TMZ, I watch Hollywood E, whatever those channels are, because I don't even know if they are because I don't watch them. Yes, and I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I like Taylor Swift. I like her music, but I don't want her in the middle of my Sunday night game. Like I just don't. I want to watch the game. So I hope they reel it in. I would say dial it back, but I feel like at this point we've had enough for the whole season. So like not even dialing it back will do. Like just cut it now because we've already had enough that will last us for the entire season. Because Lord, don't let them break up because then they're gonna be talking about that forever. Jesus. So I'm over it as well. I'm cool with like the Cowboys in the Chargers game last night. It's in LA. A lot of celebrities were there. They do a quick pan around. You see LeBron, you see whoever Jay-Z was there. You see them real quick. And that's it. I hope they go back to that. And I don't want to see Taylor Swift anymore.
Yeah, I don't really give a. I don't care about nothing but the game. I just remember we was at the WNBA Finals, and they paused the game. Vivica Fox and what the fuck? I don't, what the fuck? Like that's when you know it's going too damn far. She ain't been all damn year. She pop up. I'm like, hey, come on, man. It's just we know the type of people making these decisions. We live in an engaging world. Just get eyes on you by any means necessary. They don't care what's the cause of it or anything. But I don't care about the celebrities. Like y'all said back in the day, NBA games. Let's say the Bulls and Knicks playing. Show Denzel, show Spike Lee. And they get the hell on with the game. You see what I'm saying? There's Chris Rock there. We get on with the game. Cool. It's not overkill, man. I don't care. I don't care about I don't care about these celebrities. We here to watch the game. If we cared about, I don't listen to Taylor Swift, so I really don't give a damn about her. I don't mean to be rude, but I just don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just. I listen to Jay-Z, you know, all that. I don't care about him at a basketball game, man. I'm here to see the game. If I want to care about Hov, I would listen to Hov. You know what I'm saying? Like, put on backstage or something like that. Watch him. You know what I'm saying? If he got a show, go to the show. That's when I care about you, bro. Like, it's overkill. It's not just like that with the NFL. Colorado, Dion, want to check his progress with his team. All you celebrities clout chasing. Y'all celebrities, you don't need to do that. That's ridiculous. I don't care about them fools being there. I just don't. Man, they had Kawhi on the sideline one game. Come on now. Come on now.
Yeah.
Why don't he talk on his job? You see what I'm saying? So why are you? Come on now. You see what I'm saying? And it's just ridiculous, man. So, man, look. I don't know what to say no more, man. It's just it's overkill. They need to stop it because I'm like Wilson. I don't really listen to commentary because the commentary sucks as well. But what's going to happen is a lot of fans and stuff are going to not tune in as much, and then they're going to see once they start going down like that, the numbers start going down in that area. Then they're going to have to make a change. But like Octavia said, don't let them two break up, and then Travis Kelce his game go down because of it. He all messed up and stuff like that. We will never hear the end of it. And now the next storyline is like athletes shouldn't date entertainers or shouldn't let people know they're dating. It's just never going to end, man. But enough is enough. I don't care about Steve Nay at the game. I don't care about Shannon Sharp at the game. I don't even watch First Take and all that crap. Let the game be the game. That's why people are tuning in. That's why people are in the ring. Simple as that.
Hey, man, look, y'all said it very clearly. I think we all agree. Thank y'all for tuning in this week. We appreciate it as always. Don't forget to go over to thefocustv.com. Tune into the Focus TV every week, Wednesday starting at 9 a.m. on our Roku channel. All you have to do is if you have a Roku television or device, type in the search box the Focus TV and double tap OK and the channel is added. We will see you guys very soon.